Good Wednesday, everyone. How are ya? I can't believe we're this close to fall. It's really happening. The seasons are changing. And nowhere is that more evident than in the South, right? Trees are actually starting to change, and the leaves are starting to change, and leaves are starting to drop, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. I suppose in the Southeast or even the Northeast, it's probably pretty evident there too, but not so evident in California from whence I came. Anyway, I hope you're having a great Wednesday. And of course, as always, please let me know that you're here by just saying hi in the comments. Uh, Again, always nice to know that you're here, and always nice of you to revisit this if you're coming late to. Not even coming late. If you're just coming to it after it's been posted, I'm glad you're here, and feel free to along the way post any questions or comments, even if you're watching it on the replay. And I always come back and revisit and see what's there. If you have any questions or comments, that's always awesome. And whenever you guys participate in these things, it's always very, very helpful to other people. There are lurkers. I'm a lurker by nature. So I say that not with any disdain. Um, Sometimes I just like to, I just like to view what's going on and just be present that way. But I don't comment, and so I know that there are a lot of folks out there who like to operate that way, and so I just know from experience that comments and questions and all of those things are always very helpful to me as a lurker. So please feel free to share what you know. That's why we're here. So we're going to talk about whether or not you need an agent to have a career today. Um, so hi, oh, you all are so great. I'm so grateful. How do you say that, Tammy? Kamano Island, Kamano, Kamano. Where's the emphasis? Do tell. Hi, Genevieve. Hi, John. It's is it lunch? Is it lunch with Kay? Is that what it is? I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here. So uh, this is kind of in a word, can you have a voiceover career without an agent? Absolutely, yes, you can. There, we're done. um, you can. Many people do. In fact, I would probably say that most people who do voiceover do have careers without agents. Um, it's an interesting topic, right? Because in a certain way, two worlds have collided. There has really always been that the you know the realm of voiceover that came from the acting world and the radio world. Um, and those types of careers have usually come from Hollywood, Los Angeles, and New York, and Chicago too. Chicago's a big acting town, huge, right? And then obviously in smaller markets, um, Minneapolis, Detroit, um, like, but they've come from voice actors have come from the world of acting. And I would say that the vast majority of people prior to the year 2000, let's just pinpoint it right there, that is where most voice actors came from. And so with internet, with home studios, and also with the knowledge of what voiceover is. And again, voiceover has many faces. We can talk about voiceover, and all people think about is animation or video games. And then we can talk voiceover, and all people think about is advertising, commercials. And we can talk about voiceover, and all people think about is corporate narration, right? So there are lots of worlds that have collided to make this one big, giant pool, of voiceover work, big umbrella under which thousands, tens of thousands of people now sort of reside. And so this idea, I come from the acting world, I grew up in the Los Angeles voiceover market, so that's what I know. And here comes, with the advent of the internet, and the world gets really small. The pool gets bigger, but the world gets small. Are people who have built their voiceover careers, a lot of narration, um, on their own. They have built it like most people build any business, and that is by making contact with people who need your services. And so that is the other primary way to have a career. And um, and so the question is, what kind of work do you want to do? And I don't mean like what kind of voiceover work do you do? I mean, what kind of business work do you want to do? Do you want to go the route of where the goal is to get an agent, right? And because what an agent provides is opportunity. Agents don't provide work, they provide opportunity. So the question is, what path are you going to travel? What work are you going to do on either of those paths to get you to voiceover opportunity? That's the question. And I think there's a notion on probably both sides of this. This is all very simplified, I know. But there's a notion on sort of both sides of that track, right? That, for people who have cultivated their own businesses, they look at people with agents and they see the type of work, the type of, opportunity that comes from an agent, and they say, oh, I want to expand and I want to include that. And so now I'm going to pursue an agent, right? And then there are people over here who have worked with agents forever, right? And that world of voiceover is like a roller coaster, and things come and go, and things aren't consistent, and and you start to say, how else can I get work, right? And then we look over here and we go, oh wow, if I pursued these things on my own, I could open myself up to a whole new world of work, right? And so that's where we are. We're kind of in this, mishmash hodgepodge of what voiceover work is and where we get our opportunity. And because we're all human, we tend to think my way of doing things isn't as good as that way, so I can only have a career that's worthwhile or worthy, if I pursue it, if I get an agent, then I'll have a real career, right? I think a lot of people think that it is, that we've attained a certain level, and therefore we can now sit back and relax because we've got an agent doing our bidding, right? I do think that there is a perception of that. And, like all perceptions, there's a modicum of truth to that. I don't pursue clients, right? I do get all of my opportunity in my inbox from my agents. That's true. But it doesn't mean that I don't have to work the relationship once I have it. If I want to keep it moving, keep it going, cultivate it, and all of that, right? And so I'd like to both dispel the myth that you must have an agent in order to have a worthy career, and also to say that that the work on the path to cultivating your own clients, building your own clientele, and nurturing those clients is. Can you hear me? Oh my God, my microphone is like way the heck over. I've lost my mind. I hope you could hear me. Okay. Geez, sorry about that. I just noticed. So the sound will now improve. Where was I? So this, if this path of cultivating your own clients is a whole different set of skills, business skills, that if we're going to take that path, and it can be a very lucrative path, but we have to be willing to develop that business acumen. Like, how do we How do we run our business? How do we pursue our clients? How do we work well? How do we do good work for our clients? How do we continue to nurture the relationship once that particular job is done, right? How do we add on? How do we then use what we have been doing in order to cultivate new relationships? Where do we find the relationships? Under what rock is your client waiting, right? It's a whole different set of skills. And so, in a certain sense, right, like I just use myself as an example because I come from the world of agents. Could I cultivate those skills? Yes, probably. But it's not in my wheelhouse now. Like it would be like truly starting a whole new business. That's really what it would be. And so over the years, as I've tried that and thought, well, I'm going to cultivate my own clients and I'm going to do that and I'm going to develop this platform and I'm going to reach out to people through that. And it's like, wow, I don't have it in me. That's the God's honest truth. I don't have it in me. And mind you, I'm busy enough getting opportunity from agents, right? So I finally settled on, you know what? This is the path I know. I've done it for 37 years. I'm staying on this path, right? And that's just, am I cutting myself off from other probably lucrative work? Absolutely, I am. There's no question about that. The world of voiceover, where we are relying upon agents to provide us opportunity, is a much more competitive world. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I'm reading, again, I say this over and over. I hope you're not sick of me yet, but, in the 80s and 90s, I was reading against 10 other women for a job. Well, no wonder my booking ratio was great. Everybody's booking ratio was great. Now, in the world of agenting, having an agent as your provider of opportunity, I'm reading against hundreds, often thousands of people. So it's far more competitive and far more difficult to keep a steady income. So for those of you that think that getting an agent is going to mean that it's like it's a ticket to Easy Street, it's not. It's far more competitive. That's the thing you have to learn to live with and contend with and deal with on a daily basis. Whereas if you take what I think is in many ways a harder route and build your own clientele, you control everything. Those are your clients, right? There is, I don't want to be naive here. And so if I am being naive, please someone tell me. Because it's not a world I know well. I just know people in the world, in the world of like cultivating your own business without an agent. Of course, there are people who are against whom you are competing, if you will, in order to secure a client on your own, of course. But I would say that your competition for that is still less. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, truly. Because I think that the chutzpah, the nerve, the mettle, that you must have to reach out to clients, to keep reaching out to them when the first, second, third time you reach out, you probably aren't going to get a response. But to stick with it, stick in the game, stay the course until they finally respond and go, oh, you know what? Actually, I do need you. And I would like to hear your demo and I would like to hire you. Like that's the stuff you have to hang on to. That's the hard path of that road, right? But once you have that client and you've built that relationship with that client, you know, it's much easier. Easy is not the word. It's it's much more conducive to you holding on to that client because you've actually built a relationship. Most times when I get on a session, I've never met these people before. And once this particular job is done, I'm not likely to speak to them again. Right? It's a different world. So, I'm going to see if y'all have anything to say before I continue talking, yammering. Taking the harder route now. Agents may happen later. Yes, marketing happens now. Yeah, exactly. Um, it is. It's like they're both hard in their own way. They both have unique challenges. And and I would dare say that doing both is probably exhausting to manage both of those is a lot of it's a lot of energy, and it's a lot of split energy in a certain sense, right? Um, but the bottom line is, can you have a voiceover career without an agent? Absolutely, hands down. And the question is, how hard are you willing to work to build your business? That's the real question. And again, I would, except for a very, very, very few people, I mean, I feel like it's such a tiny, tiny percentage. Getting an agent isn't, it's, it, it's not the end of the road. It's not like you've arrived. Again, nobody ever arrives in voiceover. There is no arrival. There is no destination, except for maybe smaller destinations along the path, like you meet particular goals. But I do think that many people believe that if you get an agent, you're set, and you're not. That I can say with 100% certainty. I mean, I have friends in voiceover who built their own careers for 5 to 7 years, and then started getting some good traction and had some really good work under their belt, and uh, um, started showing up at conferences and getting their name around, and pretty soon they drew the interest of agents and managers. So excited, they've got agents and managers, and 3, 4 years later, they're like, yeah, I didn't renew my contract. Yeah, it wasn't what I thought. Yeah, I didn't get the kind of opportunities I thought I would. These are hardworking, talented people who have all their ducks in a row, who had fantastic websites, great demos, a body of work that they built all on their own, thought, oh, wow, now I've got representation. Now I'm really going to take off. And it's it's a vast sea of talent represented by agents. So it isn't necessarily better. It just isn't. Um, Tammy, I don't want to have to do the direct marketing. Getting work seems so unattainable. Yeah. Um, that is, I think you have to know your own limits, right? You have to know what you can bear, because there are burdens to bear no matter what path you take. And there are burdens to bear if you walk both of those paths, you know? I hate direct marketing. I hate it. But I had the benefit of, again, of having grown up in the agent world. And so it's something that I could say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to develop my career in that manner. I'm not going to do it. Now, there were times in the 90s, right, when I did, we all did mailings, but to call that direct marketing, I don't know. We did mailings, we made demos on, initially on cassettes, and then on CDs, and we got, this is just in the commercial world, and we got the lists of contacts at agencies, like lists, right? And so then we would send our demos out in the by way of the United States Postal Service, and we would send our demos out to everybody, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of demos out the door. And that, I mean, once we got to MP3s and websites, I was like, hallelujah, I never have to do that again. But now the process is collecting email addresses, right? Finding websites, connecting on LinkedIn, like all of those things. So, um, and that, you know, from an old timer's perspective, that's like, well, that's not as bad as having to, you know, put all this crap in an envelope and take it to the post office and weigh them and put the postage on. And oh my good Lord, it was such a pain in the butt. But also now you have to actually create, you have to create pieces of communication, right? And so there's no way around it. If you want a career, you got to work. And you have to just decide which work is for you. And uh, it is partially why I still, even though they have their um, pitfalls and their difficulties, um, pay to play sites, minus the big one that we all know, pay to play sites are an interesting in between, because you do have this organization, this pay to play site that is providing opportunity for you, and you pay a fee for it, much like you pay a fee to your agents when you give them a commission, and they provide you with opportunity, and you can cultivate relationships from there. Certainly on Voice 123 you can, because Voice 123 doesn't step into the middle of your relationship or keep it private, and it doesn't keep the relationship to itself. Once it's established and somebody wants you, they become your client. You can use the services, the payment services and everything on Voice 123, but the client becomes yours. Whereas the other one, the client always belongs to the site, and you're just a little pawn in the game, you know. So finding pay to play sites that offer you opportunity, and it gives you a platform. It gives you a platform to develop your page, to make your page everything that you want it to be, right? It is for many and can be for most a really great way of jumping in quickly. Even though I'm not big on quickly jumping in, it does provide you with opportunity to audition, and auditioning, of course, is the thing, and auditioning is great practice. All of that. So it does feel to me like that is a little bit of a happy medium. And again, I just come back to the answer to the question, can I have a career without an agent? And the answer is absolutely you can. And then you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to do in order to develop and cultivate that career? I think probably for people who are more introverted, like me, it's a terrifying prospect. I'm not gregarious in circumstances like that. I don't know. Perhaps I've talked myself out of being gregarious in that circumstance. I don't know, because I'm fairly gregarious in other circumstances, but I just don't like selling myself, And so I seem to fit well with the in the setting where somebody else is advocating on my behalf, right? So, Kim, I want to see what you have said. Yes, I think direct marketing can be exhausting, keeping track, following up, responding. I'd love to be able to hire an assistant, but not yet. I'm getting good response from people who hire. It's an everyday kind of effort, though. It is true. And I'm not competing for one job with hundreds of other talent as on a pay to play. Yeah, the whole thing about, I mean, pay to play is also, it's also a thing unto itself and something you have to learn, the algorithms that you have to learn so that you aren't competing in a pool of hundreds because your site is so, your page, your profile is so well tuned that you get the stuff that's truly right for you and it draws a smaller reach. Is a Again, everything is work. Everything requires your effort, no matter what path you choose. So, yeah, I guess I hear so many people. So I get a lot of coaching clients and a lot of people inquiring, and I need an agent, I need an agent, I need an agent, I need an agent. And it's sort of like, well, actually, you don't. You just have to be willing to do the work to find the opportunities. Is it true, Genevieve asks, is it true you need to join SAG after getting an agent? Not necessarily. There are agents out there who represent non-union talent. There are agents out there who represent both union and non-union. And so you can, if you live in a right to work state, if you're financial core status, you can do both union and non-union. But that line is getting really, really blurry right now. And so, no, you don't necessarily have to join SAG. If you're booking SAG work consistently, then yes, eventually you do have to join SAG. Yes. You can do, I don't know what the exact rules are about SAG, but I know you can do a couple of SAG jobs and you can, get the SAG wages and it will contribute to the tallying of healthcare and pension and all of that before you join. But at a certain point, you become a must join. And if you don't proactively join at the must join place, I think SAG starts to take the initiation fee out of your wages. It sounds a lot like the IRS, doesn't it? Don't get me started. Um, anyway, let's see. Selling myself feels like pride to me. Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. Which is mentally programmed from my childhood to be a negative character trait. I hear you. I hear you, John Gardner. Yeah, it's really hard to say, I'm really good at this and you should hire me. Um, I mean, I do feel like I've gotten to that point after all these years, but not all these years working, all these years working on my own self, you know, development, to where I finally go, oh, I think I actually am good at this, and there's nothing wrong with me saying there's nothing wrong with me saying that because it's just true. What a concept, right? What a concept that we're saying, you know what, I can do that job and you should hire me because I'm really good at it and I know what I'm doing. That's just a statement of fact, you know, for many of us, right? Um, so yeah, I relate. Um, let's see. Yeah. Um, Camano, Tammy McGraw. It's Camano Island. Wow, I love that. I don't even know where that is, but I like knowing that it's there. Where is Camano Island? It's Get to Know Tammy McGraw. It's this is our segment right now. Um, let's see. I think that's all. I mean, I don't want to belabor this, right? Because there's a lot. There's a lot. Oh, it's in Washington State. Oh, wow, that's fantastic. How I bet it's just gorgeous. That's fantastic. Um, there's so much more to unpack, about either of those routes that you choose, you know. And we certainly don't have time to do that now. So I've kept you for a half an hour, which is my limit. Um, so again, yes, you can. Yes, you can have a career without an agent. And for many, 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 many people, getting an agent isn't won't be helpful. And like, I wish that we could take the shine off of what it means to be represented by an agent. I wish we could take the shine off of that, because all it is another avenue to uh, for opportunity. It's another avenue for opportunity to audition, right? And then we can break that down and say, you know, there are larger agencies, you know, LA, New York, Chicago. There are regional agents. And a lot of times regional agents can be fantastic. And the casting net is so wide these days that regional agents get great auditions. They get great auditions, and are competing with the coastal agencies. So this idea, if you've got a smaller regional agent, it's like, oh, I really want a New York agent, or I really want an LA agent. It's like, maybe you don't, because you would probably discover, as I have discovered, that you get a lot of the same copy. It's crossover. And regional agents, just like coastal agents, they cultivate their own clientele. And so Shepherd Agency in Austin, Texas, works with particular clients that Atlas Talent doesn't work with. So I get opportunity over there that I would not get from Atlas, right? So it's like, if we could just open our eyes to see the opportunity that's right before us, it's just right, it's there, it's present, that we can take advantage of and really use to our benefit. And ground ourselves in reality, if you will, and stop this idealizing of one path to success over another path to success. Because there are actually several paths that, that provide great opportunity, great work, and a career. So I will leave it on that note. Again, if you're seeing this after the live, please feel free to post any questions, and I'll come back and revisit. And I will for sure see you next week. And I'll tell you, my house closes on October 3rd. It's like almost go time. I had to tell my painter my paint colors. It was very nerve-wracking to choose. How many shades of white could there possibly be? Oh my goodness. Anyway, that's sort of where my headspace is going to be over the next 6 weeks or so. So anyway, pray for me. I'm going to pray for you. So that's how we talk in the South. Bless your heart. All right. Love to you all. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and for putting up with my nonsense. And I will see you next week. Be well. Have a great week. Okay. Ciao.